Hello everyone, and welcome to my first full-length video now that I'm back as TouchTheFireTwice here on YouTube, where I will dig into my Homeworx by Harry Slatkin collection. As you can see, it's a substantial collection, though nothing truly wild. As we know, fragrance and candle enthusiasts like ourselves tend to have many candles stashed all throughout our homes. But when I was pulling these out from my closet and various places around the house, I realized it's not too insane, when it comes to collections. And I realized part of that is when it comes to Homeworx candles, I really do tend to get it and love it and burn through it. Whereas other candles, it'll be burn a little bit, put it away, and yeah, I like it, but I like something else better. And with these, when I love it, I really do love it. And so, as you can see, this collection here leans very heavily towards, really winter and holiday and some fall fragrances, primarily because that's the season I'm in right now while I'm burning them, or recording this rather. And there's not a lot, almost, very few from summer or spring collections. And again, that's because, I've had the fruity ones, the farm stand watermelons, and all of the various florals and fruities and things like that over the years since Homeworx launched in what was it, late 2017. But really, I've burned through them and they're gone. I haven't saved backups of them, which really just speaks to the testament of how great the candles are, that even, a candle collector like myself, I don't necessarily save them. I burn them because I love them, and then, hopefully they come back and I get more. But if they don't, I enjoyed them while they were here. So we're going to dig into this. Won't be an in-depth review of this, but I would love to hear from you all in the comments below. First, what your favorite Homeworx fragrances are, but also if there are any where you really want me to do my in-depth sniff and comparison kind of traditional reviews that I've done in the past. Let me know what candle or candles you'd like to see in those. I'd be happy to do that. When I go through this, it won't be super long. I will go through, maybe talk a little bit about the season they were in or something of note about the candle that I really liked or didn't, and then we'll go from there. So let's move on over and dig into first the season we're in while I'm at least filming this, which is the holiday and winter collections. So we've got Cranberry Wreath here. This was new, actually, I believe, this year in 2021. Really love this. It is your, frosted cranberry, your frozen note that has berry with just a bit of outdoors, not a traditional pine necessarily, but a really nice outdoor note along with that cranberry. So it's not a bakery cranberry. It really is that frozen kind of cranberry. Love it. Then we've got Woodland Cabin. I have two Woodland Cabins. This one, first of all, I am a bit of a sucker for marketing and for the scene, and this is just so pretty. This is, the desktop wallpaper on my computer often will look like this in the winter. And this is similar to a winter scent where it is very conceptual. It's outdoor. You've got a bit of clove. You've got a bit of orange. You have that burst of outdoor air, maybe some balsam in there, but just really cool and invigorating, but with some depth to it, some warmth. Then you've got, this one's from a while back, from the Holiday Home Collection, Over the River and Through the Woods. This one, I believe, actually came back as Spiced Balsam, or very close to Spiced Balsam, which we'll get to in a minute. But this was an interesting, again, one of Harry's odd but amazing blends that really does, it's like there's gourmand, but there's also, some wood notes to it or some spice notes to it that doesn't lean particularly to gourmand or particularly to an outdoor invigorating, but really just a mashup of many notes that end up working together because the blends are so interesting and unique. So I love that one. This is, if anyone is a fan of fragrance, knows this is really for me in kind of the holy trinity of fragrances. It was very similar to Winter Garland back in the day, and now Mistletoe Magic. Also, that was a Slatkin & Co. scent, 10 years ago. And this one, Mistletoe Magic, is a reinterpretation of that, and it really is just the perfect holiday scent. I will probably do an in-depth sniff and review on this one if I haven't already on the channel, just because it really is probably my top holiday scent of all time. So I've got two and actually three of those when it first came out in, I think, a 2018 Christmas in July QVC holiday trio that actually also included Winter Hearth, which is a nice, I think that's one that I think people are kind of jonesing to come back. And it really is, it's got maybe some patchouli incense, but a bit of sweetness, a bit of heaviness, but again, one of those blends that kind of mashes together notes that you don't normally see together. These two were a part of a trio, which actually finished the third one, which is why you don't see it here. But these ones were kind of Winter Woods candles, so I actually don't remember the names, so we're gonna pull them up. So this one was Chestnut Woods, kind of a cashmere-like scent. And this one was, or is, by the fireside, and there is, you know, embers and mulled spices and amber and cedarwood. And if you remember, if you watched my burn of the day 60-second reviews recently when I did crackling fireside, I mentioned the crackling fireside does not have the traditional amber that you get in a lot of firesides, whereas this one here does have that note. Then we move over to some of, this is really what I call kind of like the original OG release of Homeworx candles, because of that first year or two, these were all part of the holiday collection. So white birch, again, just a really beautiful, invigorating outdoor balsam candle that I just love. I'm so happy that it's back. Trim the Tree, I did a 50-second or 60-second burn of the day review on this as well. I've got 3 of those. That's my original one, and then the 2 that I purchased this year when it came back on the homeworx.shop website. And again, it's just that beautiful blend of some roasted apples, but it's got such depth to it, and it's not simply that. There's a booziness to it. There's a little bit of citrus to it. I just really love that one, which is why I have a couple of them. This classic, again, people I think are really hoping will come back as an individual candle versus just being sold on QVC with its pedestal. But Deck the Halls, I actually did do an in-depth sort of tree comparison, one of my more recent videos a couple of years back of Homeworx, where I compared Deck the Halls, Season's Greetings, white birch, and frozen balsam. So click through to watch that video if you have not seen that yet and want to see in-depth reviews. Season's Greetings, really love this one. I would love to see this one come back. I think it may have briefly, but not much. Again, it's just a really lovely, it leans toward, you know, your pine, but it has a lot more going on than just a pine. So it really has a good mix in the rotation. Then we move on to, these are kind of winter, but we start leaning a little bit into fall. So we've got 3 crackling firesides here. Again, this was really a favorite of mine this season. If you want to hear a little bit more about it, check out my 60-second burn of the day review on that one from a few days back. Then we've got Holiday Spice, which I really enjoyed Holiday Spice as well. You see I have 2 of them here. And this one, I need to sniff it again to remind myself exactly or what the notes were, just because I'm curious. But this one was clementine, fir needle, clove, pomander, and simmering spices. So we're talking about really that kind of holiday, like the pomander, where you've got an orange with the cloves stuck in it. And it's that, but it's not just a spicy, you know, spicy cinnamon or spicy clove. It really, there's something in there. I suppose maybe it's the simmering, the fact that it's a simmering note, or maybe a bit of almost a background like sweetness of an apple or pear in there that makes it a little bit warmer than just spicy, you know, like the red cinnamon spice that sometimes people think that cinnamon can be, but really, really like that one. Then you've got spiced balsam, which not sure, first of all, the picture on this and really all of these from the fall collection here are beautiful. When I think of, you know, the imagery and the artwork on them, the Trim the Tree, that's fun, that's cute, but I really do prefer sort of the full wraparound where it's real photographs and images like this that really just set a vibe, where if you want to have the name displayed, you can, but you can also just have it like this, and it really does just set the mood and vibe of what you are sniffing. So that is where, you know, I like when they do it in that, you know, direction. But Spice Balsam really does lean more like the Over the River and Through the Woods. This one, I'll quickly give the notes on it again, just because I think it's relevant. It says balsam, clove, nutmeg, and cinnamon. I don't really get much balsam in this one. It is softer, it's warm, it is spiced, and there's some tree in there, but it's more of a warm, it's not particularly like a hot spicy or a hit you on the nose spicy. It's a softer, rounder, more like a kitchen spice kind of thing, which is beautiful, but I think it could have done better with a different name. Then we get into, again, this is leaning holiday, but we're getting a little closer over to fall here. Gingerbread mocha. Now I will say I don't have in this collection the glazed gingerbread or the pumpkin gingerbread, which I reviewed when they first came out, and I want to say 2018 that was. And the pumpkin gingerbread really was one of the best interpretations of gingerbread I've ever smelled in any candle company anywhere, including, you know, the glazed gingerbread. For me, the glazed gingerbread was a little bit lighter. The pumpkin gingerbread was so rich and warm and deep and authentic and gourmand and just, whew, really, really good. So I grabbed this one before I sniffed it, like most of them, because I really was excited to see another gingerbread. And the mocha, I'm not a huge chocolate fan, but mocha typically means it's gonna be a drink, a beverage, because it's not just a cocoa. Quickly the notes on this one: gingerbread cookies, whipped mocha, brown sugar, vanilla buttercream. So lean's certainly quite gourmand, which, you know, you'd expect all gingerbread to. This one for me though is very light. There's not much throw I'm getting on this, which you don't necessarily want a gingerbread to, you know, it can choke you out on the corner if it's heavily, heavily spiced. But this one's just sort of a lightly creamy, leans more towards the glazed gingerbread for me that just was too light. It'll be probably a one and done for me. I'd really like to see the pumpkin gingerbread come back in its original form because it's just out of this world. Cinnamon sugar marshmallow. Again, I just think these are so beautiful. Like these big puffy marshmallows covered in cinnamon sugar. Some of these fall ones have gold lids versus your traditional silver or chrome, which I think is just, again, really rich and warm and sets the scene for what you're burning. This one, really like this as well. It had a heavy sweetness to it, but again, what I love about a lot of the Homeworx candles really is when they, even if they're sweet and they're gourmand, because we know Harry loves his gourmands, they really are not almost ever cloying or drippy, ooey gooey too much for me. Sometimes the caramels lean a little bit toward that way, but that's really what a caramel literally is and is supposed to be. But yeah, cinnamon sugar marshmallow, that one sold out quickly, and I don't know if it came many places other than QVC or maybe on the Homeworx website quickly in sort of midsummer before fall truly launched, but that was a great one I really enjoyed. Spiced Acorn, another really good one. This leans towards sort of your chestnut and cloves. Really could be like a late fall for me. It's not an early fall because it's not, doesn't have a freshness. It's really those crunchy leaves. There's the, you know, they say acorn, of course it's not the scent of acorns themselves, but it's the mood that it evokes, and it is that sort of crisp November day. And again, just, it kind of pairs nicely with the Crackling Fireside. Similar family, but different. When we think of the holiday spice, the spice balsam, Crackling Fireside, Spiced Acorn, all in the same family, but all different enough and unique enough that I think it totally makes sense to have them in your collection. Spiced Apple Crumb, oh boy, this is a good one. Again, really pretty, literally spiced apple crumb. They're very, you know, it's true to form what it's supposed to be, it is. And I love this. This leans to your kind of apple crumble. There's really a green apple in there that is really authentically bright, and you can feel the crunch of it alongside a beautifully, again, authentic, non-cloying butter crumb. A little bit of spice, but again, not heavy on nutmeg. There's some in there, not heavy on cinnamon. Super, super authentic. You can count on Homeworx to be quite authentic when it comes to their gourmands and their bakery items. Country Apple Butter, which I was excited for because, again, throughout fall, I love to start playing with some bakery items. And of course, apple is great. I mean, I start my fall burning August sometimes, certainly September into October. It's warm enough where I live that, you know, I just need to go for fall even when it's still 80 degrees out, because otherwise it's going to be a late fall. And so this one, I'd say this for me is similar to the gingerbread mocha, where it just didn't quite have as much throw as I would have liked. I think apple butter is an interesting idea to put into a candle. There's plenty of, you know, roasted apples and fresh apples and many different, you know, incarnations of or iterations of apple that we can see. And apple butter isn't one you hear of often, where apple butter is, you know, just really, really heavily roasted down or cooked down applesauce, essentially. Maybe some more spices, but it, you know, it just becomes so thick that it's almost like spreadable like butter without having butter in it. You know, to lean like toward a caramel or something like that. But it just didn't have a strong throw for me. I think it's a nice scent, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Whereas a spiced apple crumb, I'd rather have 4 of those than 1 or 2 of each of these. Then we move on to, these are primarily fall, I would say, here in the middle, but we've got a mixture of, these are really actually all ones that were part of TSVs over the years with QVC. In this first collection here, and it could really lean toward, you know, people could burn these in December or September and it wouldn't be inappropriate. You've got mulled wine, which I do love a wine scent. I feel like there are so many variations on wine scents that it's hard to get one that I really love, but I'm always going to go for it and try it. And this one worked for me, wasn't my favorite. Then you get into Country Road. I would say the aesthetics and the art direction of this collection I think is beautiful. You've got sort of the dark copperish lids. You've got really pretty logos with sort of the, you know, the box around it here when it comes to the labels, not logos. And I think just the idea and the way they all work together is beautiful. Of the 3, I would say these are my lesser favorites compared to some of the other ones I've talked through for fall already. Country Road, again, I like that it's going for a conceptual sort of, you know, like that ski lodge. Like there's so much going on in there that is different, that does lean towards, you know, almost like a true fragrance, house fragrance. But there was some note in there that just hit my nose in a way that sometimes you smell something and you're just like, ooh, oh, I don't know if that works for me. It feels like it doesn't literally like mix with your own, you know, your own olfactory senses. It's just, there's something about it that isn't your favorite. So they're not my favorite, but I really still appreciate them trying something like that. And I would go for something similar like it, because when you find the right, you know, tinkering with it, you find the right blend of those types of notes, it can be a real hit. Pine needles, I like that it's just a traditional, straightforward pine. It's not holiday pine. It's not going to be your balsam, your spruce, or make you think of a Christmas tree, but it is still outdoorsy because, hey, evergreens are, evergreen, so you can smell pine needles depending where you visit or where you live any time of the year, so they don't have to lean holiday, and this one doesn't lean holiday, which I think is kind of rare in home fragrance because typically if you get pine trees or balsam, spruce, fir, whatever it might be, they're going to be most often your traditional Christmas blend, which this is not, which makes it kind of unique. Then we've got one holdover from, I want to say this was probably the first, the TSV that matched actually with the Christmas collection, which also had fresh balsam there. This was a trio where it had harvest leaves, which, ooh, boy, is that a good one. I don't have, but it's amazing. Pumpkin caramel corn, and you have to remind me in the comments what the third one was. I don't actually remember off the top of my head, but it was another fall fragrance. This one's nice again. It leans kind of ooey gooey, drippy, a little bit cloying because, caramel corn is sweet as sugar because it's literally just sugar and honey. So not something I burn all the time, but still I think for those who like something in that scent family, really, really nice. And then we've got Golden Harvest Pumpkin and Crimson Leaves. I believe these two were actually from this year's fall TSV, certainly once we've gone into the 3 wicks versus the 4 wicks for the TSV trio collections. Crimson Leaves, I want to say I think I burned that one time. It's interesting. It's a weird one for me because the notes are leaves, mulled spices, golden persimmon, and fir needle. I think the sweetness of that persimmon throws me. It gets a little bit like, I like it, but it almost feels like with 1 or 2 tweaks, it could be more of like a summer, I don't want to say drink, but there's the fruit in there could lean almost like a tropical, like a dark tropical, kind of tropical spice sort of summery fragrance. And so that one I haven't been burning now because it's just one of those where I like it, it's intriguing, but I'm never in the mood for it, if that makes sense. Do you guys feel that way? Where you're like, oh, I like that one a lot, but you're never like, ooh, I'm in the mood for Crimson Leaves or some other candle like it. Similar for Golden Harvest Pumpkin. This one, there was something with I said this actually once in a review years ago for Pumpkin Hayride by Bath & Body Works, that something in there smelled almost like Indian food to me. And I got that from this as well, which I assume, now that I look at it, the cardamom. I do love cardamom. I think that, lemongrass cardamom in different scents can be really nice, and they don't lean foodie for me because cardamom can show in many ways. It can be sort of, the dried, the really dried spicy or a bit, softer and green. But for me, the cardamom in this one, when burning, it came off a little bit like I had Indian food for lunch, which, don't get me wrong, I love it, but when I want a harvest pumpkin, that's not the vibe I was looking for in this. So again, these two were not full-on misses for me, but they weren't ones that I was grabbing through and burning through until they were gone, essentially. Then we move over to a couple of real good ones here, guys. So this one came out, it's such a pretty, the hobnail jar. I don't remember the collection this is part of, but this is back, pre-homeworx.shop when it was primarily just QVC. Vanilla Currant Biscotti. Really pretty strong on the currant, that dark berry kind of tart. The biscotti, I don't get a strong gourmand on here, but it certainly is more than just fruit, so you do get some of the sort of bakery notes in there, so that's nice. Cranberry pumpkin cake. Oh, you guys, this is one, I think maybe Melanie, Mr. Kong's mom, might have had this as one of her favorites for a while also. So this one I first got, I want to say it had to have been, I guess, 2018, and it was in one of the wraparound labels kind of like that. I may have done a review on it, I don't remember. But it is just truly, that's like, for everyone who loves limoncello cupcakes, if you haven't smelled cranberry pumpkin cake, this is right up there. This is equal as far as intensity, quality, uniqueness, authenticity. It's beautiful. You've got the cranberry pumpkin. It's not pumpkin like fall. This could really almost be a year-round scent. It is one of those gourmands that really only Harry can do. And the notes on this one, pretty straightforward. Cranberry, pumpkin, nutmeg, ginger. I wish they would give us the true, 8 notes that are in this because it is so sweet but comforting. Where sometimes sweet can just be, cloying, get that thing away from me. This is comforting and sweet and warm and rich, and it's really just, I can't say enough great things about it. It's really beautiful. And I think I bought this, I want to say this was in 2020 on QVC. It came out, just a duo in these glass jars, and I would love to see it come back because that's one I would stock up on. Then we have this fun collection. This was early on in, I want to say 2018 on QVC. This was Harry's ice cream shop. And just, again, the art direction with the kind of pinstripes here and the scalloped edge lids that were full colored lids, 4 wicks, or maybe 3 wicks, but the 18 ouncers. beautiful, I think so fun, just like whimsical and old-timey, and the fragrances are really top-notch. So again, vanilla, chocolate, caramel, and mint can be so simple, so basic, and it's like been there, done that. They are so unique and rich. That Dreamy Vanilla, I think I did an Instagram post on the Gentleman Next Door way back on this one, where it is like vanilla extract, but it really is a creamy, rich vanilla. Ice cream, sure, but even just like a custard, whatever it might be, really lovely. The Mint Delicious chocolate chip, it's a mint chocolate, but it leans very heavily towards the mint, so it really is that bright green mint ice cream, which I think some people thought of as toothpaste. I don't see it so much as toothpaste, but it really does have sort of that spearmint edge to it that I think is spot on, because mint ice cream really does lean like that. This ooey gooey salted caramel. So when I describe my caramels like ooey gooey, I mean, they're telling you right here that this is ooey gooey. This is, when it comes to caramels, I think this is one of, I think, the best interpretations for me of it, because, you know, Bath & Body Works, the pumpkin caramel drizzle, I really don't buy those because they're too one note or straightforward and cloying for me, whereas this one had some depth to it with the kind of that burnt caramel, the salted caramel, and it had more like you can smell all the ingredients within it versus just a single one note, kind of like a cheap perfume versus, you know, a high-end fragrance house perfume. There's so much more to it, which is what these candles, of course, are. And Fantastic Fudge. I'm not one to love chocolate scents, and as Harry said in a recent live on Instagram that he did with Melanie of Mr. Kong's mom fame, he says that, you know, obviously chocolate is not easy to do. It's hard to do in home fragrance and in wax, and apparently it don't sell all that well, which is kind of surprising because, you know, people love their sweets. Some, you know, the folks who are casual fragrance fans, you know, see chocolate like, oh my God, I need chocolate, I need muffins, I need whatever. So it's kind of surprising, but you know, I trust Harry's, you know, business sense to say, hey, they don't sell well, so we're not going to make them. But this one is on it. I have to pull this one down because, again, I would have not thought I would want a fudge candle, but it's so nice. Dark chocolate, espresso drizzled caramel, creamy coconut, tonka bean, black vanilla, brown sugar. This is where Homeworx, again, these are not your Bath & Body Works notes. These really are, you know, a step up. No hate on Bath & Body Works. I've got a ton of them. I love them, but this really is next level. And what is wild about this, you guys, is it really smells like fudge or a fudge shop. It's not just, oh, it's chocolate, but we're calling it fudge. It's almost like you can smell some nuts, some almonds in the background. You've got those varying levels of the tonka bean is like a vanilla, but this isn't a vanilla fragrance. The fudge smells like that sort of dense, flowery, fudgy richness without being just like a chocolate bar. Maybe even some like dried marshmallows, like a Rocky Road fudge is really so authentic. So it's like props to him and the team for their authenticity, because if you love that sort of thing, which again, it's not my wheelhouse of scent, but I still enjoy it and I clearly burned it, it's just the best you can do with that. Similar to that, this was from the Truffle Collection, which I think there were 2 or 3 in here. One of them, I can't remember, I burned it. One of them I gave to a friend that was like a cranberry something. And then this one is espresso chocolate truffle, just to show the notes on this one. Espresso, milk chocolate with vanilla, creamy coconut. Again, they throw coconut in there for, I think, a layer of depth, even if you don't smell that strongly. This one's a little light. It's similar to the Fantastic Fudge. I don't get much in the way of espresso in there. I would like a coffee blend that has more of the coffee in it, like an espresso bar like you did back in the day when Slatkin & Co. was still part of Bath & Body Works. That was a really true, beautiful espresso fragrance. And this one's good, it's nice, but again, it's not one that I crave. Then we get into coconut shortbread. I know this one was a huge hit this year. A lot of people loved it. I like it. It burned well. It was nice. It was strong. I like a coconut that is a sweetened sort of baked coconut versus your tropicals, you know, typically tend to be. And this was really, really nice. This one is good. It was maybe a 6. I would love it to be like an 8 in the strength and throw in my open concept. It was there, but it wasn't as intense as I would have loved it to be. Still a really nice interpretation of shortbread. Limoncello cupcake. I've got 3 of those. I burned through at least 1 or 2 other ones of them. Don't have to tell you guys, this really is one of Harry's, when it comes to his gourmands. This is, I'll have to do an in-depth sniff and review, because I actually would love to compare this to back, let's say 2010, when Slatkin & Co. was with Bath & Body Works. He had a very similar vanilla shortbread that is so similar to limoncello cupcake, but this takes it next level. I mean, everyone knows what this is. It's sweet. It's exactly what you want a limoncello cupcake to be. It's beautiful. That's a signature fragrance for Homeworx, and it goes without saying how wonderful it is. This one, love this one. This is one that really leans to a conceptual. I don't remember if it came out in a trio, in a group. I think it might have been by itself, primarily on QVC. Almond flour. This one, the notes, again, I might do an in-depth on this. There was a toasted almond, again, back in the Slatkin & Co days, maybe 2010, that smelled similar to this. And it was, I want to say that had like shea in it, like shea butter. Very conceptual, almost smells like a body care, a little bit of a musk to it, like a sheer musk, but not overly powdery or you know, geriatric. And this one, almond blossom, pistachio, orange flower, vanilla bean. Just, it's one of those when it's like January and you're like, I don't really want something fruity because I'm not ready to go to the tropics, like some places want to send you the tropics on January 1st with their releases. But you want to break from the holiday in the winter. This is one that is kind of a year-round, just like it smells like a very, like if you walked into a high-end hotel or department store, if they were to have a signature scent, this could be it, because it kind of, I can't imagine anyone not liking it, but if you love it, it's just spot on. Really, 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 really pretty when it comes to that kind of almond blossom. Two here that were, I want to say, HSN Today specials, back when Homeworx was doing a bit of HSN. White Tea Leaf and Pear Blossom. I think I burned each of them once. Not huge fans of them. The art direction as well, like it's just a little too like contemporary, but not much thought behind it. Not my favorite. The White Tea Leaf, you know, I love sort of spa notes or tea or anything like that, whether it's white, green, put it together. I like this one. One of my favorite Slatkins back in the day was, I want to say it was green tea, white pear, which I thought this might be similar to, but isn't. And the Pear Blossom just, it leans, as it says, blossom, it does lean to sort of floral and a little too powdery for me, so not a favorite. This here, Kitchen Herbs, I think I went through 2 or 3 of these, like late spring 2021, I think it was. This is sort of your Tuscan herbs. You've got thyme and some basil and some sweetness, but it leans toward pretty herbal, but enough sweetness that it's not just like a cut green cilantro that's just a fresh green. It's really balanced and soft while remaining authentically kitchen herbs, and I love it. I really hope to see it back. Then we get over into some florals, these are some of the OG florals mixed with some new ones. We're almost at 30 minutes. So I'm gonna try to go through this quickly, but again, happy to do in-depth sniff and reviews for any of these. Fall chrysanthemums, really pretty. Oh, this one is authentic with that chrysanthemum because there's a sharpness to this that you don't often find in floral candles. It's sharp instead of powdery, which is lovely. Heirloom Orchard, incredible, incredible apple scent for summer into fall. Authentic, juicy, bright. Really, really love this more than almost any other apple scent, other than one more I'll show you. Cherry Sunrise, this is your hot, white floral for the summer in the tropics. This was a very early release. I want to say in 2017. It was a launch scent, I think, for Homeworx. Again, florals aren't my go-to, but midsummer, I'm gonna burn that. It's gonna be bright, it's gonna be tropical, it's gonna be hot and white and just beautiful. Citrus Mojito, really nice blend, kind of a lemon lime. I could have used more mojito to it, and I would like to be stronger, but still pretty and a nice blend. Summer Zinnias, again, that really pretty, similar to the fall chrysanthemums, got that really intensely pops of color wraparound label. And zinnias, transparently, I'm not Kent of the Candle Channel, Tina Divalicious, to know florals the way that he can talk to us about florals. So I don't know what a zinnia smells like. To me, this leans very heavily to like sort of your traditional honeysuckle candle that you're used to smelling. But again, kind of a level up. Really nice, really strong. I think it only came out that one time back a few years ago in like 2018 or so. But again, I'd love to see that one back. Maybe with a different name or different label, it could be more popular. Garden Blooms. This really reminds me a lot of a Slatkin & Co classic, for me at least, from back in the day in like 2010, Flower Shop. It is just, it's your Garden Blooms. It's a floral, but it is, oh my gosh. It is an authentic floral. It is a fresh bouquet of flowers with some greens in it. Oh man, I wish I had more of those because it is so authentic. It is so bright, fresh. It's like an early April, spring morning. I love it. Very dewy and bright. Orchard apples. I really want this one to come back. I have this here, it's orchard apples, but to me it does lean like a apple flower, like your drenched apple flower from way back in the day. Oh my gosh, so nice. This one I think was maybe 2019 or so, even 2018. Apple, applewood, vetiver, cantaloupe, peach. No one does blends like Homeworx or Harry does. So that is a sophisticated apple. Needs a different name because it's more intense than just orchard apples, but really, really lovely. Then we got 3 OGs from the floral collection of Homeworx. Climbing Clematis, which is intensely almost peppery and vegetal and bright and sharp and metallic and strange but really nice. Enchanted Peony, which is Harry's throwing in some fruits into his florals, as he always does, to keep us guessing. But that's, I think, a fan favorite in many ways. And then Pink Geranium. Geranium you see a lot in body fragrance, in perfumes and colognes. You don't see it a ton in home fragrance. It's more of a high-end kind of unique note. And it shows up really, really well here. It has sort of that intensity, a sharpness, almost maybe in my mind, like sometimes you see with iris or things like that. So again, another really nice one. And that, in a wrap, 30 minutes, 50 or 60 candles, not too bad as far as I go. I could do 20 minutes on every one of these candles. But that is my current, as of late 2021, Homeworx candle collection. Please let me know what you want to see more of or hear more about, any in-depth sniffs, reviews, comparisons, and tell me what your favorite Homeworx scents are from my collection and from your collection that I don't have. And so until next time, everyone, take care.